It's amazing, isn't it, how quickly things can turn around in football. No one's having a go at Erik ten Hag anymore. Manchester United 5 points behind fourth place. Villa 3 behind Spurs, thanks to that Rasmus Højlund double at Kenilworth Road. Højlund scored in 6 straight league games after going without a goal in his first 14. United fans, let's hear from you. Is Højlund going to fire you into the Champions League next season? 03717 223344. Give us a call to join us on the show. Doing just that, joining us right now to tell us if the charge towards Champions League is really on for United is talkSPORT's chief football correspondent, Alex Crook. Morning, Crookie.
Alex.
Good morning, how are we?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, what do you think then? I mean, they are the form side, aren't they, in that little pack behind the top 3. Can they maintain it? Can they make top 4?
Well, it's 5 wins in a row in all competitions for the first time in a year. They've got, apart from a Manchester derby in a couple of weeks, a winnable-looking run of fixtures on the horizon. I was at Spurs the weekend. I think that defeat probably has been coming. They've been winning games lately, Tottenham, when perhaps they haven't deserved to. Obviously, Aston Villa's form, despite the fact they won at Fulham at the weekend, isn't quite as strong as it was earlier in the season. So certainly United seem to be the team with momentum. And I don't think it's a coincidence that this has all been sparked by Sir Jim Ratcliffe coming in as a minority shareholder. Obviously, that's still to be formally ratified, but we expect that to go through this week. I think it's just given everybody at the football club a bit of focus and a bit more confidence for the future. And I do think that's rubbed off on the players.
I think you made a great point there, Alex, because if you look at Jim Ratcliffe and you look at what happened at Nice Football Club in France, which isn't a big club, new stadium, 3rd in the table. OK, PSG always win it, but 3rd in the table. He's made a massive impact. He seems to employ people that are ready to do the jobs that he thinks is necessary. And that is clearly what's going to happen at Man United with Dan Ashworth and the people that he's going to put in position to make that club stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, he's not wasting any time. There's already planning permission to improve the area around Old Trafford. There are grand plans in terms of the stadium itself. The new chief executive, Omar Barada, is coming in from Manchester City and by all account is a really good operator. And obviously we now know that Dan Ashworth has been placed on gardening leave by Newcastle, having formally told them he wants to leave. There's still the matter of compensation to be agreed, but United are really keen to get him in situ as soon as possible. So I think you're right, that focus is definitely there from the boardroom, whereas it hasn't been before. Jeff's mentioned Rasmus Højlund, who I thought was terrific yesterday, not just the 2 goals he scored, and he's adamant that he meant the second one. He knew exactly what he was doing, but his hold-up play, the way he was a focal point for the team. I mean, he ran himself into the ground by the end of the game. And a word for young Kobbie Mainoo as well. 11 successive starts for him. He's become a key component for Erik ten Hag. And I did tweet last night, and I got a bit of stick from non-Manchester United fans, that for me, Gareth Southgate should be looking at Kobbie Mainoo and probably Ross Barkley as well, who was excellent for Luton, ahead of Calvin Phillips in terms of the Euro squad for England. Because let's be honest, Phillips has had a bit of a nightmare at West Ham, and those 2 players are playing exceptionally well.
Yeah, look, I agree with you about Ross Barkley, but I'm telling you, Kobbie Mainoo's 18 and he's made 11 Premier League starts. He ain't going to the Euros.
Well, you say that, but
I did.
The Theo Walcott game as a 16-year-old.
Yeah, but it was a disaster.
Also,
it was a disaster taking Theo at 16. Didn't benefit him at all, I didn't think. You know, he was almost like he was there as a ball boy or a luggage carrier.
But do we view midfielders differently to forwards, for example? Because Michael Owen hadn't played many games at club level when he went to France '98 and absolutely tore it up. Wayne Rooney was a regular in the England team in his teenage years. So,
but
Rooney
had been playing since he was 16. He had plenty of experience. Kobbie Mainoo, 11 Premier League starts.
But that could be 25 by the end of the season.
Yeah, look, he's a fantastic prospect. An absolutely fantastic prospect. I think this Euros comes too early for him. When it comes around to the World Cup, that might be a completely different matter. Why would Manchester United be haggling over the fee for Dan Ashworth? You pay out massive transfer fees. Why wouldn't you just say, look, 10 million, 20 million, whatever it is, whatever it takes to get Dan Ashworth in straight away?
I tend to agree with you on that one because I think he is the sole target for that role. that Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to create, the first ever sporting director at Old Trafford. But it always bemuses me, not just when it comes to people in that position, but even managers. The number of clubs who are reluctant to meet buyout clauses in managers' contracts, as you say, they waste tens of millions of pounds on players who may or not work out, who may or may not work out, but they don't want to do it when it comes to managers. And I don't think they want to do it when it comes to executives either. But I think United are confident they can reach a compromise. I don't think it will take as much as £20 million, which is being talked about in some places, but I think it will take in excess of 10.
Yeah. Now, just a quickie, Crookie, Everton back in action tonight. We're expecting a decision soon, aren't we, on that 10-point deduction, whether it'll stand or not. Anything you can tell us about it?
Well, it's a massive week for Everton on and off the pitch. This feels like a huge game. They've not won, since December the 16th. They had an initial upturn when they were first hit with a 10-point penalty, and there was this sort of siege mentality, but that very quickly has worn off. As you say, we are anticipating the verdicts of the independent panel in terms of their appeal against that 10-point penalty. I don't think it would happen today on a match day. Certainly Everton haven't been given any notice that that's the case, but it should happen by the end of the week. And the reason this is so important, if they do manage to get that points penalty reduced, not only could it help their league position, but it will help them when it comes to the second charge they've been hit with by the Premier League. If they lose the appeal, therefore, then I think there's every chance they get more points taken away. And then I think a first relegation in 73 years becomes a real possibility. So huge days ahead for Everton. But I do feel sympathy for them because there seems to be a lack of clarity and a lack of communication from the Premier League and from the independent panel. Why can't they just give them a date as to when the review decision will be made? Because this affects a lot of people's lives, not just the players and the manager, but more importantly, the supporters who have invested so much in their football club. I think it's very unfair on them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Thanks very much indeed, mate.
Cheers, Crookie.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.